As of today, I think it's December 13th, December 14th? Yeah, December 14th. And we are at the end of this year, so it's time to go back and reflect upon this year. A lot of people are putting out their albums of the year, and this is what this video is. It might be a little too soon. Kind of with me, I like to wait until the very end because there's a lot of stuff that I'm catching up on, but there's always something I'm going to miss. Like, I remember a couple years ago when Porter Robinson's Nurture came out, I listened to that album maybe 2 or 3 months after the year ended, and that album was definitely my album of that year, and it wasn't actually on my list. But anyways, album of the year 2025, top 10 list. Let's get it on. As you can see here, I have some albums behind me, one of which is Magdalena Bay's Imaginal Disc from last year, my album of the year last year. One of my favorite albums of all time, honestly. They just killed it. So they're kind of here as an ode to last year and kind of passing off the award to the next album. So I'm going to hold my tablet here as kind of like I'm a preacher or a pastor at church, reading off the tablet. So that's what we're going to be doing, so that way I can keep things in order. We have some honorable mentions first that I'm going to get through. Joey Valence and Bray, Hyper Youth. This is their sophomore album after their album that came out last year, I believe. Really good stuff, really energetic hip-hop. If you need some stuff from the gym, highly recommend listening to Joey Valence and Bray. They go hard. Don't Have to Cry is a great song, probably my favorite song off that one. They also had the song with JPEG Mafia that was also really good on this album, so that's a good one. Another one, Men I Trust, Equius Caballus. I think I said that wrong, maybe about 75% right. I know, it is what it is. They came out with 2 albums this year, and both of them were really good. This one was my favorite by just a little bit. It's just a vibe, honestly. Some good stuff. I can't really honestly tell you any songs off the top of my head because I haven't listened to it in a minute, but I was spinning this quite a bit earlier in the year as just kind of like in the background while I did some work, and then maybe on the road in the morning headed to work. It was some good stuff. Next one I have is Little Simz Lotus. Didn't really just spin this one a whole bunch, but when I did hear it, it was a great album. Little Simz is always very consistent. She just makes great music and is paving the way for hip-hop as we know it. And then last one, I'm making a little bit of pivot here. I'm going to have my main first honorable mention as JID, God Does Like Ugly. This was a great hip-hop album. I really liked his album that he put out a couple years ago. That's probably my album of the year that year. I think it was the same year that him and Denzel Curry put out their best stuff, and they were kind of like right there neck and neck for me as hip-hop album of the year. Great stuff. Hot take maybe. JID, at this point, he is better than J. Cole in my mind. He has surpassed him, and that's the label that he signed to. He's already surpassed J. Cole in my mind. Maybe that's a hot take. Let me know what you guys think about that. So number 10, the first album I have up is The Weeknd, Hurry Up Tomorrow. This album was so long. That's my main gripe against this. I was kind of battling between this and JID as what's going to be number 10, and this album was actually high up on my list of how much I played it. I attributed that to some of it came out all the way back in January. For some reason, The Weeknd always likes dropping way early in the year. I don't know what it is. I guess his marketing approach, it just works out well for him doing it that way. But this was the end of the Weeknd trilogy. So what will Abel do from here? Who knows? This thing had a film format. There were some memes on it. I never watched the film. Let me know if I should watch that. But I know this one, the highlights on this one is Niagara Falls into Take Me Back to LA. Those 2 songs are great. Just great stuff from The Weeknd there. Next we have Maruja, Pain of Power. Never heard of these guys earlier this year. I first heard them on the Quedeca album. They were actually featured on the very last song there and the spoken word stuff. But this is like a rock jazz type fusion, and I've discovered over a while that I really enjoy just jazz elements in music mixed in. The saxophone plays on this is crazy. I think this was the first song on the album, but it was definitely the most impactful. Look Down on Us. It had like 2 different parts where he's just like so mad, and then it kind of goes to a more hopeful thing, and it was just so good. The instrument play, the subject matter of the songs, just a great song from Maruja. One of my favorite songs this year, Look Down on Us. This one is why I tend to wait a little bit, because I just listened to this one. Actually, I listened to the Wednesday album Bleeds. That was a great album, honestly. I really do enjoy Elderberry Wine off that. That's a great track. But this is another pop record that I heard this year at the very end, and it's been my current obsession. This is Lily Allen, West End Girl. I'm telling you, I think she hasn't made music in quite a while. I hadn't really listened to her before. I do remember a couple years ago hearing about Sheezus coming out, and I'm just like, that's kind of like Yeezus. I wonder what she's doing there. I never listened to the album, so I couldn't tell you. But this one came across. I'd heard that it was good, so I checked it out, and just I think I saw a comment, and this was like, they said this was like Lemonade if the people actually broke up. And I'm pretty sure she's like English or British or something, and it kind of makes sense because there's a lot of tea on this album. I hate that I made that joke, but it is what it is. And some of the tunes on here, for the subject matter, it just sounds so good. Like Ruminating was really good. Madeline, Tennis is probably my favorite song on here. Tennis is really good. Just a great album, some interesting subject matter. She just spun it really well, and I have really enjoyed listening to this. It's a great album. Next up, we have one of the vinyls that's up here, Hayley Williams, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party. Now, am I the biggest Paramore fan ever? Not really. I kind of accredit my girlfriend into me getting more into Paramore. I heard Riot for the first time not too long ago. Haven't heard any of Hayley Williams solo stuff, but have I heard Hayley Williams and Paramore over the years? Maybe like on Airplanes with B.O.B. Of course, everyone's heard that song. The random Paramore song that got big here and there, yeah, I would hear that. But this is the first time I kind of was paying attention to Hayley Williams. And this album was really good. It was interesting, the rollout that she did with like putting out random songs and eventually putting it all together on an album. Ego Death, the title track, Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, is a great song. My favorite song is probably Parachute. I feel like if you had, I feel like this song should have been like the title track, not the title track, the theme song to the next Spider-Verse movie, because that's the vibe I was getting from it. It's such a good track. True Believer, I relate to that song quite a lot. Lots of interesting themes that I relate to personally, from me being from the South and having kind of similar ideologies to Hayley Williams, and kind of seeing that same point of view as she does. So this was a great album. Some great tracks on here. Definitely some good stuff. Number 6, this is one that's right outside of my top 5. Like, I feel really, really good about my top 5. And this one, I do remember feeling very strongly about it. I haven't gone back to it too much, but it took me a while to get into this one, not even gonna lie. This one is Jane Remover, Revenge Seekers. When I first heard of Jane Remover, everyone was hyping this album up earlier this year, so I said, I gotta check this out. Didn't really vibe with me on first listen, and after a while I did kind of go down the rabbit hole of Jane Remover. And this is one thing about albums, it's really hard to get them on first listen, and it takes me a while. I gotta sit with an album sometimes. Some albums, they click right away, but this one sure didn't. But after a while, I did start getting into this. Psycho Boost with Danny Brown is an insane track. If you like some just crazy beats, this is very hip-hop inspired. I kind of put her in the same lane as I do like 100 Gex and Underscores, but Jane is in kind of a different little lane there with some crazy production for sure. So if you enjoy really abrasive production, you will definitely enjoy this. Jane Remover, Revenge Seekers, great album. Number 5. Now, like I said, these 5 I feel really strong about. Viagra Boys, or however you want to say that. It's kind of a self-title, but not really a self-title at the same time. This was my introduction to Viagra Boys. I've heard really good stuff about their previous album. I think I've heard it 1 or 2 times. I need to go back and listen to it some more. But this one, the lyrics on here are crazy. Lately, there's songs that I just go back to and I'm just in awe and repeating them over and over again with some of the tracks. I think the one is something about show business or something. I actually want to look that up, but I do remember that in that song, this lyric that he says, and it just has me stuck on it. It is Best in Show 4. No, it's You Need Me. It's the song right before Best in Show 4, or Part 4, You Need Me. I remember him saying that lyric, I can make your girl stop what she's doing and watch me do my little dance. I just imagine the dude just like sitting there over in the corner, like taking someone's girl and just going, dude, watch me do my little dance here. I'm just jigging, you know what I'm saying? That's just what I have in my mind. I don't know. Man of Meat's obviously a great song. The first song off here, Uno 2, Dirty Boys. This whole album is just so good. And this is kind of a post-punk band. That's not really a genre I've explored too much into. I think Jeff Rosenstock was kind of my introduction to that 2 years ago. Hell Mode was probably my favorite album of that year as well. But I'm glad this album came out, and I'm glad I came across it. Some really good stuff. Next is my hip-hop album of the year. Normally, in the past, I've always been heavily into hip-hop. Over the past couple years, I've deviated more towards pop music and been trying to expand my horizons. Like even next year, I want to do a thing where I try to listen to 365 different albums next year and broaden my horizons a lot. Because I do pretty decent keeping up with stuff from current day and keeping up with current releases, and like I'm aware of them. Some of them that might not jive with me exactly. But I would like to expand my horizon. So if you have any recommendations, leave them below. Or any stuff that you just really enjoy, like list your favorite albums down below just in general, or just your favorite albums this year. I know that's kind of all over the place, but anyways, McKinley Dixon, Magic Alive, my hip hop album of the year. This is like a jazz rap album. So good. Kind of a story about these guys trying to bring their friend back alive. I remember the album that came out a couple years ago by him I'd heard about, and I think I spun it once or twice. I just really it didn't click with me at the time. Maybe I need to go back and listen to that, but Magic Alive, that stuck with me. Run, Run, Run Part 2, Magic Alive, the song. So many good tracks on here. If you enjoy some jazz rap elements, McKinley Dixon is definitely a high, strong recommend, because this was a great hip-hop album. Now, number 3. This album probably has my favorite song of the year on here. Nina Geraci, I'm sorry. I Love My Computer. This is kind of an electro pop album. This was her debut album. The way she goes at production and the way she handles things, like she just takes random things that she's sampling. Like I think I saw a video of her like doing like little stone drops into the water and recording it with her phone. The way she approaches that kind of stuff is very interesting, and it's definitely kind of a look into someone of her age getting into music, especially when you look at the song iPod Touch, which is probably my favorite song of this year. It was on constant repeat for me. She would have tracks about like falling asleep on the keyboard, trying to get into FL Studio and making the beats on there with the free demo and everything. But iPod Touch is a great song. F My Computer's a great song. Scissor Rack's a great song. I could just go on and on. Sing Good was even a really good song. I enjoyed this album front to back. Great album. I need to get it on vinyl. Another album I need to get on vinyl is my number 2 album of the year. And this guy, just the growth that this guy has underwent throughout his career is insane. This is Quadeca, Vanisher Horizon Scraper. I remember when Quadeca first came onto my radar, he made that diss song to KSI, and I said, this is pretty good for a YouTube rapper. He kind of went in on the guy. And it was probably a little cringy and everything, but it's YouTube rap. It is what it is. But the journey that he's been on, the albums that he's come out with the past couple years, they've been on my radar. I've listened to them. Even Scrapyard a couple years ago was on my radar, and I listened to it, and I did enjoy it. It didn't click with me as much as this one did, though. Vanisher Horizon Scraper. The way he handles the production on here, it just sounded like he was going for that magnum opus type feel, and it really did feel that way. Some standout tracks off the top of my head. You have Monday, which is a song that I just always end up playing on a Monday. It's really a nice vibe and kind of a good way to go into the workday. And And then like the very last song before the ender, Foregone, that was definitely that magnum opus with the pianos and everything on here. It just sounded so beautiful, man. And it's just crazy. You even have Danny Brown on here being like a giant sea serpent monster, playing that in the verse with great Bacchanal. That was insane. One of the craziest features I've heard this year. Danny Brown, he's an insane talent, by the way. Haven't really got to listen to his album too much. The song with underscores is my favorite song off that, but yeah, I'm talking about Quedeca here. But just front to back, I think Godstained was the first song off here, and I played that and I said, okay, this is something I got to check out. And then as more stuff ended up coming out, like Foregone, I think was the second single. Like I said, that's a great song. There's just so many good songs here. Thunder is an insane banger, dude. Just props to Quedeca, man. He has really evolved, and I'm sure people are tired of hearing people say that with this guy on what his artistical journey's been like over the years, because that's just what they all say. But props to him, man. Great album. Now, finally, my album of the year is Bon Iver, Sable Fable. As you can see, I have it up here. Had to cop that vinyl. This one came out earlier in the year as well. And honestly, this has been one of my introductions and actually going out of my way to listen to a Bon Iver album. Like I said, I was really into hip hop, not really much anything else, and I've kind of expanded that over the years. But this was my kind of introduction into Bon Iver, and after that, I listened to 22 A Million. That's a great album too. And I listened to his other one. That people all rave about, and that was a really good album too, but I didn't listen to it as much as this one or 22 A Million yet, so I haven't really dove into it. But Sable Fable, this just felt good. I don't know another way to describe it. It just felt so good. Some of the things that he's tackling, he was going through relationship issues. I can relate to that. That was something that I related to from previous experiences. Award Season's a great song. Everything is Peaceful Love is probably, it's either that or iPod Touch as my favorite song this year. Just a great song from Bon Iver there. Day One is awesome. If Only I Could Wait, featuring Daniel Haim of Haim. There's a Rhythm. Just this whole album front to back is a great album. So definitely recommend Sable Fable if you haven't heard that. And I know people have kind of mixed feelings upon Sable Fable. But I definitely highly recommend it. So that was my top 10 albums of the year. I say that and I can't really put up 10 fingers. I would if I had the mic clipped to me, but it is what it is. So if you stuck around and watched me yap about my top 10 favorite albums of 2025 here, thank you. Leave some of your favorite albums down below. I'd be interested to hear that. I know some omissions here off the top of my head, like the Clips, Let God Sort 'Em Out album. Don't get me wrong, that's a great album too. It just didn't connect with me enough, but it's a great hip hop record. Definitely a great album. The Geese album, I really did like 3D Country when it came out. That was one of my top 10 albums of that year. This one, I don't know if I like the sound of it as much, but I haven't gone back to it as much, and I was listening to it the other day. Sounds good, so maybe it'll be a little bit higher over time, but yeah. So that's about all I got for y'all today. Top 10 albums of 2025. It was a good year for music. Not as good as last year. Last year was crazy, but it was still a good year. So shout out 2025. Can't wait to see what 2026 has in store for us in the music landscape. Peace out.